it's a pleasure to have you here with us today in this meeting. Eu vou dizer rapidamente pouco sobre quem é a Diana. Diana é a diretora de Desenvolvimento de Tecnologias de Aprendizagem na Faculdade de Educação da Universidade de Wolverhampton, no Reino Unido. Começou a sua carreira como professora do primeiro ciclo e vice-presidente da escola. Em 2001, mudou-se para a Universidade para liderar projetos de tecnologia e melhoria da escola. Em 2009, começou a trabalhar com escolas de toda a Europa, ajudando os professores a fazer uso efetivo das tecnologias para apoiar a aprendizagem e o ensino. So, Diana, we know that you have been all over Europe visiting schools, from primary schools to secondary schools, and we have seen lots of new technologies, but what do you think about new technologies? Have you seen growing new pedagogies with the new technologies?
Bom dia. Bom dia. Better. Okay. My Portuguese is not so good, but hopefully this morning we can begin to unpick some of the challenges of the title. New pedagogies and new methodologies. This was the title that I was given. It sounds incredibly complicated, okay? I need to have a little think about that as I was given it. So, what I started with to think about the keynote was to look at the focus for today. And I think that my job is to explore, to analyze, hopefully to help you to enjoy, to encourage you, and I want you to share and understand. In terms of the work, I've had great pleasure this week of visiting schools with the Creative Classrooms Lab project. And I think most of those schools are here today in some way. So I'll begin by saying a big thank you to those schools, because it's been incredible to work with them over the last 2 years, looking at what they're doing in Portugal. You'll also see a reference there to the Living Schools Lab project. And another booklet, which is available as an iBook for you to download for free. It's also available on the web, that you can see for the best practice implementation of tablets. So, I'm going to stop talking about new methodologies and pedagogies, because that's too complicated. And instead today, I want us to talk about the ocean. Okay? Now, I don't know if we have anyone here who is an expert on the ocean. Is there anyone who is a diver? Great. Would you like to come down? Would you like to come down? Someone told me that if you go diving, you need some specialist equipment. So I bought some. They said I would need this. And this. I don't know what to do with it. Can you show me? That's great. Thank you. Can you take a exciting. So, the thing is, when we're in the middle of the ocean, we're in that moment when we have to shout, help. You know, we get a little bit stuck sometimes, and we don't know the right way forward. So, imagine now we're in the classroom, and we're still talking about the ocean. We're sitting in rows, and there's still lots of classrooms out there in rows. I can tell you that. I've seen them. Do we have anyone here who's really good at art? No one? Anyone who's really good at art? A little bit good at art. Don't be scared. Okay, who's good at languages? Who's good at languages? Okay, come. Who's good at art? I need someone who's good at art. Who likes building? Who likes building? You're all looking scared now. I'm going to pick on people. I need someone who's good at building. Can you come? Will you come? Don't look behind you. Will you come and help me? Okay. So we're talking about new methodologies and new pedagogies. We have today's lesson, and in today's lesson, you have just, I think, maybe 3 or 4 minutes. And what I would like you to do, first of all, is task 7. You can build the ocean from Lego. And if you could do maybe task 3, and I'll give you a book to help you to write some words about the ocean. And if you can do task 5, to make the ocean, but you have some paper and some glue and some scissors. And do we have anybody who's really good with the tablet? Who is the expert with the tablet? It's amazing how the iPads went down and the tablets went down then. They stopped taking the photographs. Okay, so those of you who are good with the tablet, if you want to have a go at what you can do with the ocean on your tablet, and I'm only going to give you 3 minutes, and you can have a go at that. And whilst they're doing that, the rest of you might like to have a look at, if you're logged on, you can have a look and see what you can add there to the Padlet, okay? If you've never used Padlet before, you can simply type in the address there and you can add in your thoughts about the ocean. Brilliant. So you can see we have the live example, and I'm sorry I don't know your name. Sophia has the ocean on her tablet there. Did you find any words there about the ocean? Lots of them. Good. The book is in Portuguese. You can start to tell us if you like.
It is a book about pirates.
A book about pirates.
Pirates in English?
Yeah.
Do you want me to say more? Because you know my language is French, not English. I'm using French and Portuguese. Not English.
Okay.
I can say Portuguese if you want.
So, I hope you are beginning to understand what I'm trying to say. I hope you are beginning to see some of the challenges that face us. And just in those 3 short minutes this morning, we start to see that we have different tasks in our classroom, we have different equipment available to us, we have those who are experts in front of us, and sometimes that can be quite a challenge when we have those students who are experts and they've been diving perhaps a little bit longer than us. I'm going to take you through then some of the issues that I've found over the last 6 years of working in Europe and looking at some of the issues around this a little bit further. First of all then, technology and infrastructure. The big key problem is access. And I've put there the difference between access and ownership. And what I mean by that is, it's very straightforward to go out and buy some tablets and say, that's it, they have access. But ownership is quite different. It's very different for a student who gets it 1 hour a week on a Thursday for one subject than it is for a student who owns that device. And so you have some big decisions to make about who has the access and the ownership. The next challenge is connectivity. It has to be reliable. It's no good, really, in one part of the school where we're all standing close to the window, trying to hope that the signal will come in. The teacher has to know that that signal is going to be reliable in the classroom and ready for them to access. And those students have to know that. And more importantly, the most important thing is that those technologies that you have access to have to be fit for purpose. There are still too many teachers, too many schools going out and buying the latest equipment that they think their school needs, and yet they don't yet know what their school is ready for. And so it's a really important consideration. We had some very nice training this morning on how to use the diving equipment. But in terms of the classroom and the issues that you face with training and professional development, there has to be the separation between the technical and the pedagogical training. Okay? And if you're not yet doing that, if you're only showing teachers how to press the buttons, then you're not giving them what they need. The pedagogical training is ongoing and it's continuous. And I've put there the importance of the professional versus the personal. There are things that you have to know how to do for your professional role as a teacher. But actually, as a person, I think you have a responsibility to be able to understand that training is part of your role. It's your duty as a teacher to know how these things work. The other thing that's up there is that we want, obviously, training to be collaborative. It's been very helpful with the Creative Classrooms Lab project to have teachers working together across Europe and working with colleagues, learning from each other. So the more opportunities that you have to work with other schools, then you need to take it. You have a great opportunity today to at least connect with one other school. And if you can make that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, even better. Don't leave here today without promising and making a promise to another school that you will go and see them and see what they're doing and learn from each other, because that's the way it should be. Okay, evidence and research would be my next topic. The Creative Classrooms Lab project is a policy experimentation. And that sounds incredibly complicated, but what it means is that the ministries have come together with their advisors to work with lead teachers to create the experiment together, to create the ideas, to say it's not the two working separately, but the two working together and saying, how do we get what is policy into practice? How do we get what real teachers on the ground tell us they need happening in their classroom? It's not just people talking about it, it's people doing it. And that is incredibly important. The challenge is that we find it hard to get beyond the pilot. Okay? In lots of projects, we try things out, maybe for 6 months, maybe for a year, maybe for 2, but we have to get beyond the pilot. And the key thing here is the investigation. You as teachers and head teachers have to make it your priority for it to be an investigation in your school that is ongoing. What's your next investigation? And if you look at the work of the Living Schools Lab project, that takes you through some possible investigations that you can look at in your school. Okay, in terms of resources, the big question that I've put there is, what can you do with what you've already got? Nobody has any money. Nobody. Nobody is going to rush out and buy 30 tablets today. However, you need to look around and say, well, what have we got? And are we using what we've got appropriately and in the best way? And I've put there some keywords in terms of the resources. Are you sharing resources? Again, you are all here today, over 200 people, you know. If everyone made a promise to share a resource with someone, then we have a collection of resources that we are developing. Teachers should not be working in isolation. We know with the Creative Classrooms Lab project, with teachers that have come together to design new ideas and scenarios, they have been able to really think through. And it's that time to question one another that's been incredibly helpful. And that's this week, in fact, with our national focus group, having that opportunity to hear what works in real classrooms is important, and you must take time to do that. There is still, and I think we've already picked up on it this morning though, the challenge on, for example, languages with resources. There is still a big challenge. I think the more demand you can place on the system, on those suppliers to say we need resources in our home language, they will listen to that demand. It's happened with other technologies, it's happened with other resources. It's you as teachers who need to keep placing that demand. Okay. I've put there 3 important roles. I hope, although I know there will still be, I hope there is no teacher in this room who is the only person in the school who knows how to use the technology. Okay? But I bet there is. I'll bet there's somebody who's sitting here who says, I'm the only one in my school. It's a responsibility of everyone. And there is a role in this for the head teacher, for the senior leadership team, the management team, whatever you call them, and for the class teacher to say, what are we doing here with this? It's not what are we doing with the tablets, It's what are we doing with learning and teaching. And if you haven't got a learning and teaching team in your school, then now is the time to make sure that you have one and to have that opportunity to bring them together. 3 key words from the Living Schools Lab project are showcase, demonstrate, and validate. The showcase is the bit that you are willing to show to everyone. And that's quite easy. Can you take people to the best bits of your school? Do you know where they are? And what will they see when they get there? The demonstrate is the bits that you could show other people how to do. These people here have been demonstrating how to do things this morning. That Lego is looking really good. He's an expert. Wow. The validate is the bit that you don't show, the bit behind the scenes, the bit that you're still working on. But people know what you're validating. You're quite happy to share that we are working on, we are trying to improve, and this is what we hope to find out, and this is when, and this is how we're going to share it. And they're very big whole school issues that you have to know. I'm not going to go through all of this. You can read the booklet online for the steps, but this takes you through. So if you're someone who does not yet have a school vision for how technology can be integrated, this will take you through those steps. But from a single teacher right through to the whole school, you can look at those steps. And I've put there, you can see, it can be about one classroom, but hopefully a network. I hope that after today, this will become a new network of people, and it certainly should be, people that want to continue working together. Okay, so the curriculum still continues to be the biggest issue. Just to pick up on some of the things there, it can be incredibly hard when you've got the tests in May to say, we're going to do something new and different. A great example that I saw this week in Antonio's class, who's up there, he said he's identified just 3 units of his curriculum that he's going to work with on the use of tablets, building those scenarios. So instead of saying he's going to change the world overnight, he's not. He's identified 3 units. The students know those units. The students can take me through, can take anyone through how they've worked through the different parts and the kinds of changes that they have been able to make with new technology. I put it there, 1 to 30 versus 1 to 1. Too many schools go out and they tell me they're doing 1 to 1. Most of them are not. And what I mean by that is we still have too many teachers who are taking 30 students through the use of the tablet. You want me to stop the microphone? Taking people through the use of the... Now we're working. So, what I mean by that is that we have 1 to 30 versus 1 to 1. If you have got 30 students in front of you and they're all doing exactly the same on the tablet, then something may be not quite right. You need to look at the different kinds of things that students are doing. And actually what I found in the Creative Classrooms Lab project is that many teachers would be better if they had less tablets sometimes and more activities going on, more opportunities for talk time along with those things. Okay? So be careful with what you're planning to do, that it isn't always necessary for every student to have a device. If you've got that opportunity, then that's great, but think about what you're doing. I've even got as far as saying 0. Okay? So sometimes it may not be appropriate to use the tablet. And you have to really look at that. You have to say, are there other resources that we can also use? You know, is it okay to get out the paper and the glue? Is it okay to get out the Lego, the bricks, the whatever? Yes. Do we still need the books? Yes. Because students need access to a different resources at different times. Absolutely, they can move to technology for more and more things, but you as a teacher still need to make decisions about their learning. Digital leaders. How many schools here have got digital leaders? Digital leaders are students who take responsibility for supporting the staff and the students in your school. I hope by Monday morning some head teachers and some management teams and some class teachers will be saying, we need digital leaders. It's far better to have digital leaders than it is to have 28 students in front of you saying, I know how it works, miss. Okay? If you've got those identified digital leaders who can support the help in the classroom, then that's great. Do you celebrate achievement, the achievement of your students? Last year when I was here in Portugal, in Lisbon, the students were making videos, the students were broadcasting those, the students were sharing the results of what they were doing in lessons. And I think these are things that we need to be doing. The students need to be involved in the decision making. Learning spaces. There are still lots of classrooms, as I said, in rows. There are still lots of classrooms that look the same as when I was at school, and there hasn't been any change since then, and there's probably never likely to be. You need to take a long look at your learning spaces, because if you're going to put these technologies in, then those spaces will need to change with them. Okay? And you can see there the boys actually with their devices, with their headphones on, you know, sitting there, what learning is actually taking place. What you can't quite see in this picture is that those girls and students there all have a device. But look at what the teacher's got. It's really worrying. It really worries me when I go into a room and the students have fantastic equipment, but the teacher still has access to something that, well, I think went out with the dinosaurs. So you have to make sure that your teachers have access to the best equipment. And in some cases, it will be better for them to have access and to bring it to the students over time. Here you can see in a beautiful school in Italy where the students and the teachers have really thought about the design of their learning spaces here, but more importantly, they've had to look at the changes in their curriculum. So here the classrooms have been changed in the afternoon to accommodate the use of the technologies. I've put up there 2 pictures of labs. We still see a lot of labs. Lots of schools like to say, here it is, we have 3 labs. Would you like to see all the 5 labs that we've got? I think we will see the labs decrease in number. However, keywords there, stability, mobility, ability. You have to start to think about what is the best environment for your students at this time. What can you provide for them? Mobility. These devices are mobile. You know, we can go places. We don't even have to be here. There will be people who are not even here today writing on that Padlet wall, I hope. And that's really important, that you think about how your spaces are organised. The ability, are you challenging your students in the environment that you have? And I think there are lots of more students who could be challenged even further. There's too many getting the same diet. Don't give them all the same. Give them something different that really challenges them. Okay. This is a school in France, and here you can see that the corridor has become a learning space. It's become a social space. Have a look at the corridors in your school. Can they become learning spaces? Students have access to devices. They have them already. It doesn't matter where they are, who they are, they will have a device of some kind, and they can bring it, and can they access with the connectivity in school. What is the school day? What is the school day? We have to look at how long is the lesson. 6 50-minute lessons, it may be too short. You may be far better with a longer lesson if you need to use the new technologies. And certainly we found with the Creative Classrooms Lab, we have to be able to think about the amount of time we need. I'm not going to go through every single aspect of those. You can begin to see what they're about. You'll see on this side, though, I've put there, parents matter. And it's repeated, parents matter. If you are not working with your parents, then you need to be. They are going to be incredibly important with the use of new pedagogies and new methodologies. Because if we're expecting students to do things at home, students need support with that. Students need access at home. Students need time. And parents want to know. Parents want to learn. And you have to take time for how you're going to support them. How are we doing for time? We need to move on. Okay, I've talked, in fact, this week about bring your own device and said, you know, if you can, you need to be looking at it as an investigation in school. I've put up there the difference between outcome and output. And what I would say to you is, if you're not yet looking at the difference between outcome and output, then you should be. There are too many teachers at the moment, they're having tablet lessons. What's a tablet lesson? You know, it shouldn't be a tablet lesson. We should be talking about having an ordinary lesson, a topic or a project that we're doing where, yes, we make use of the technologies, but it's not a tablet lesson. We need to be thinking about the outcomes and the outputs that the students are producing. I think more than one of the teachers have said to me this week, it's really hard work. You know, you have to get these students to do something. It's really hard work because they can't just give you a video at the end of 6 weeks and that's it. They have to show those steps that they've done along the way. I'm going to go to this one. I saw this in a school somewhere in Europe, but I see it in lots of places. You're not allowed to wear a hat. You're not allowed to eat. You're not allowed any chewing gum. And you're not allowed any device. I've seen it in more than one place. And what I would say to you is that if you're a teacher in the 21st century and you're switching it off at the door, then what are you doing? You're switching those students off before they even enter the room, in some cases. So you have to think about the issues between safety and ignorance. If these are students in our society, then you have a duty to ensure that they are switched on to that safety. My final slide is this, and what I've tried to do there is bring together what I think the issues are for you if you are tackling new methodologies and new pedagogies. You can't just tackle one of these things. You have to do all of those. And that's an incredibly big challenge. But what I would say is we have to start somewhere. And if you look at those steps and you follow, then you can start to think about what are the things that you can do. What are the things, where can you begin? Can you start with your students? And we should have put there perhaps the digital leaders as well. In the top corner it says there, definition, not hype. And what I mean by that is that please don't tell me you're going to implement the flipped classroom on Monday when you get back. Please don't tell me that this is it, you're going to have all your students coding by Tuesday when you get home. What I mean is you've got to plan, you've got to think about the implementation. You have to have a definition that says this is right for your school at this time, and you're going to come back with the evidence that will take you forward. I hope after today you have got the enthusiasm to be ready on Monday for something different and something new. I hope, and I know that you will have. But you have to make sure that you are thinking about the long-term plan and what that means. I've put there one more, and I'll end my education ocean. We started with the expert who's helped us to dive. Thank you. We had, where's your artwork? Ah, here is the beautiful artwork that we have this morning. We have one little fish. Who's feeling like a little fish in a big pond? Yeah? That's a little bit how it feels. We then have some words about the ocean. Maybe an adventure, a discovery, and maybe we meet a few pirates along the way. And finally, wow. That's beautiful. Very good, thank you. I have to travel back to England. Can I say a huge, great, big thank you for having me here in Portugal. And I hope if you need any more questions, I'm happy to take them. Okay, thank you.